Right. So, welcome to this session of conversations and welcome to Diwakar in our midst. Please welcome Diwakar. Diwakar is a wonderful person as we have just discovered during the last half an hour. It's been such a pleasure conversing with him. He's a great conversationalist and just a pleasure. You don't realize how time flies when you start talking to him. Uh, he heads an institution which seems to me to be very, very unique, which is basically academic oriented. There's a lot of research going into all forms of music, and it also helps people to develop themselves in various aspects of music. I won't talk more about it, but the I'd just like to say one word about the format of this meeting. What Divaka has suggested, and that what we would welcome, because we experiment with various formats, and that makes this program a little more interesting also. So what he has suggested is that we go along with a really interactive session where people start off with some questions and he develops on them and brings out his own ideas on music, on musicology, on sounds, on semiotics, and the significance and so on, which is really the theme of today's talk. We already started talking about it, and then I said, let's keep it for the program. So now the program has started. We'll start off with the first question from Mr. Chandran, but as we go along, just to make sure that we don't forget the questions that we have in mind, I would also request you to write them out of the chat box. So the idea is that after Divakar deals with one question, or after he talks for about 10-15 minutes, we'll take up the question that appears in the chat box and he will deal with them. So he'll be free to deal with them the way he wants and to put in his own ideas also in addition to those questions. But we will also make it a participatory, a highly participative session. Let's go ahead with that. And before Chandran comes up with the question once again that he asked a very interesting question, before that, may I request Rama to formally
Yeah.
introduce Divakar? Yeah, Rama.
First and foremost, I'm going to tell Diwakar what the Athishans told me this afternoon. He must be one of my students because Diwakar, we've been having a set of PSBB students come in and give the form for us. So that's a been for quite some time, maybe even 15 years or so. And I remember him helping us out with recordings for our PSBB programs, anniversary programs. We used to have pre-recorded programs, and almost a month, almost every day, poor man had to put up with us till late in the night, and he was so patient with us, because the teachers at one end nagging him for no, we want it this way, we want it that way, etc. And the students making a racket, making mistakes. And here was Mr. Diwakar, who would sit through the whole thing with a smile on his face and saying, yeah, can we have it again? And, so beingly patient man. That's why I suppose he's running a very successful school now. When I first approached Diwakar for an hour for us, he spontaneously said, sure, ma'am, would love to talk or play music. Well, it's talk today and music another day. We've all been, I'm sure all of us have gone through the profile already, so I'm not really going to start elaborating on it. All that I want to say is that he has performed all over the globe, worked in Cardiff for a couple of years, and returned to establish this school of Indian film music. The school trains in all disciplines of film music, plus conducts workshops, seminars in various genre of creative music that is usually practiced in this Indian cinema today. The topics read sound, semiotics, and significance. Well, I did look up Google for what semiotics meant, and it says study of signs and symbols and their interpretation. They classify science and systems in relation to the way they are transmitted. I don't think many of us know any of this. So we're all really eagerly awaiting to be educated on the sound semiotics and significance. Thank you, Diwakar, for being with us today, so readily agreeing to talk to us. We're really waiting to listen to you. I would like Mr. Chandran to start off the program by asking his question. Mr. Chandran, please unmute yourself.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm always your student.
Thank you, Diwakar. Mr. Chandran, please unmute yourself.
Yes. Our Indian philosophy always advises silence, silence, and you can see yourself in
Okay, I can't hear him properly.
Sir, you seem we've lost you. Can you repeat your question, Mr. Chandran?
and not in sound.
Sir, can you repeat your question, please? We lost you in between. So can you please repeat the question, Mr. Chandran?
Yes. Are you able to hear me now?
Now I can hear you, ma'am. Sir.
Okay. What I wanted to know is our Indian philosophy always advocates silence and not sound. And excepting in reciting the slokas or whatever it is, they say, be silent, see yourself in silence. But how
Okay, lost him again.
Yeah. So we've lost you again.
Yeah.
Could you type out your question?
Yeah, Chandran, can you type the question so that we don't lose time?
Yeah.
In the chat box.
He's frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody's typing. I can hear that.
Yeah. No, somebody's saying that they can't hear. And
okay.
Is it bandwidth issues?
Well,
maybe you could just.
Can someone who remembers to repeat that question for Chandran?
So if I remember right, he asked a different question this time.
Yes.
Okay.
The last time he had a different question, and this time he had a different question. The previous time he was asking about how do we comprehend sound, and I mean something on those lines. And this time he was talking about the philosophical approach to sound or musical sound. So to answer his second question, I think the simple answer is it's all relative. The difference between silence and sound is just relative. Now, what is very high-pitched sound for us is probably not so high-pitched sound for another animal. What the dogs can hear as high-pitched sounds, we cannot hear. So I think the short answer to the question is everything in this universe is vibrations. So the sound is nothing but vibrations within a particular spectrum, frequency spectrum. I know the words like frequency spectrum might be alien to those of you who are not into traditional engineering or from the field of music and sound, but let me try and explain it like this. We all can hear only a particular bandwidth of sound. So above that and below that, we cannot hear. So what is silence to us maybe is not silence to Superman, for example. I mean, that's a great way to say it. Now, Superman can hear everything. And we heard that, there are other, in the days of yore, people could, in Satya Yuga, for example, people could just comprehend your thoughts. They could, in other words, they could hear your thoughts. I know this is going a long wound route, but I'm saying that it's all relative. And in Tamil, there is a saying, Arahana osai isai. So osai is sound and isai is musical sound. The difference between sound and musical sound is that musical sound is pleasing. That brings me to the question of what do we understand as pleasing? So let me ask a question. How many of you like the sound of fingers scratching against the wall? Does anybody like? Okay, maybe what do you like? A metal screeching on another metal? Do you like that sound? Okay, now I'm going to try and explain why unanimously we don't like certain things and we like certain things. I know in school I was not a very good student, but the only one chapter in science I used to like was sound. I think it was chapter number 7 in year 7. I don't remember correctly, but here's what it says. Every sound can be explained like using a pebble analogy. So imagine you're staring into still water in a pond, a still pond, and you take one round pebble and you drop it in that. What happens? You have ripples going off everywhere, right? So these ripples are traveling up and down like waves. It's the same thing that happens in the air. Now, I don't want to go too much into the physics of it. It is compression of molecules and expansion of molecules. So that's what happened. That's what you represent like a graph. You would have seen this digital, kind of diagram everywhere on the internet, digital music. So that's what it is. So sound travels as transverse waves. And these waves copy themselves so many cycles per second. The more cycles per second, the higher the pitch or frequency. The lower it is, the lower the pitch or frequency. Now, if this is already going a little bit over the top, you have to tell me. I'll try and use a different analogy or a different way of explaining this. But the difference between beautiful sound, musical sound, like how I said, Mr. Raja has a great voice, because I can actually hear harmonics. Now, what are harmonics? In every sound that you hear, there is not one frequency. It's made of a multitude of frequencies. And the loudest of these is what your brain perceives as the pitch. Like, for example, if I say, you hear one sound, but there are so many different sounds built into this. I don't know if any of you sing. When you play a tambura, you only actually play the sa and the pa, but you can hear the ga. Psychoacoustics. So you have many, many shrutis or notes inside this one note. And so if the relationship between each of these are easily computable mathematics, now this is the key. I should re-emphasize this again. Easily computable mathematics. So for example, let's say one of the frequencies, the loudest frequency, let's say is at 500 hertz. Now, if the next frequency in your particular one sound, like my voice, let's say is 600 hertz, then it's easy for the brain to comprehend that the ratio relationship between these two is 5:6. Now, that is an integer relationship. Now, so then the brain will classify that, given the nanosecond that it allocates to compute the relationship, it'll classify that as a harmonic, or in other words, a pleasing sound. Now, if on the other hand, let's say my fundamental or the loudest frequency is 500 hertz, and the next frequency that's available in my voice is, say, 609.32 pi 390565423 pi 905 something, then the brain's going to try to compute the ratio relationship between these two frequencies, given that nanosecond. And if it's too far-fetched, it's going to give up. And the brain will classify this as a partial. Now, a partial is that sound which does not have a simple numeric integer relationship with the fundamental or the loudest sound. So your voice, as you speak, can be filled with harmonics and partials. So the more the meaningful harmonic relationships, that are there in your voice, the more pleasing your voice is. The more the partials. Now, the example I gave you, nail scratching on wall, is filled with partials. So the brain, so you can next time you think, before meeting somebody, you can say, oh, that's not a good girl, this is a bad boy, that's a bad film, this is a great scooter, whatever it is. Don't judge yourself. By default, we're all judgmental. Okay. Now we come to the interesting part. Now, if I play a song to all of you, if I come to your uh, to your place, and if I play a song, the probability that if there are 10 people in the room, the probability that majority of you will like it or dislike it is higher than having equal likes and dislikes. And that's because brains function the same way. And that is immaterial of where you are from, what your cultural background is, which part of the world you are from. This is why we say music does not have boundaries. It is truly beyond borders. In other words, sound does not have boundaries. It goes beyond everything. I don't know if that kind of answers Mr. Chandran's question, but does that make sense?
Wonderful. We have learnt a lot.
Yes, it does.
Great,
Wonderful. Yes.
great.
Thank you. You have answered my question.
Thank you, Mr. Chandran. Any other questions we have?
Right now, none so far.
Okay,
But
so
let's go ahead and
Somebody
then.
asked about how to convey emotion through music. I think it was Geeta.
okay, I think she asked something about how do you make music talk to you? Am I right? So I had a question for you, Mrs. Geeta. Why would you want to make music talk to you when it can actually sing and dance for you? You
Um,
can you can
See,
make it sing.
I can feel it when somebody talks to me. That's why I
Mhm.
thought that was the intention in film music, especially,
Mhm.
which is so dependent on the scene and the circumstance in which it is sung,
Right.
or it is played in the background or something. So it's supposed to convey something to us.
It is always
Yeah.
supposed to
Yeah.
convey something. So it's
Yeah.
like talking. What we don't understand, in
Mm.
India, we make it God.
Mm.
Anything that we don't, that's probably one of the reasons why we don't have schools for music composition.
Mm.
We always, I know, at least in my home, my mother and father always used to tell me music is a gift. Either you have it or you don't. But here's my question. Why do we consider only music a gift? Everything is a gift, from what we wear, from what we are, what materialistically, what we are afforded, the near and dear that we have, everything is a gift. Music is merely a skill. Now, some people might have a head start, maybe for genetic reasons, or maybe because their parents would have created circumstances for them earlier on in their life. It does not mean that the rest of us are children of lesser God. Now, in my very humble, small experience, my ideology is that if you have 4 senses working properly, then that person is very capable of articulately expressing himself or herself through the language of music. So to make music sing to you or talk to you, very much possible. So it is just a language. Now, if I have to teach music to you or to someone, um, you first have to tell that person what they are looking for. Now, if I'm able to communicate that to you, then it's very easy for me to be able to show you where to find it. So here's a question for all of you to think about. When we have a child in the house, a child is born, maybe your granddaughter, grandson. And then what happens? For the first time, the child starts reciting small things, and maybe say dada, papa, mama, some words, little small words the child picks up. And then the child is intelligent. So it listens to you talking sentences. And then the child starts forming in very small sentences. It knows how to get the job done. And it's only after 4 or 5 years you send the child to school. And then on the first day of school, you start teaching the child alphabets. Strangely, the way we look at music is not the same. Now, imagine the same scenario. You're not going to learn linguistic language, you want to learn music. And what does your teacher teach you first day? Sarigamapa, Sapasa, or Do Re Mi. Isn't that strange that you've not spoken anything through music? You've never tried, appreciated music, but you just sit there and you want to start singing. I think we have to review, reflect and review on how we approach music education. Does that kind of answer your question in a route? Okay, so the punchline is, in popular music, music's function is to communicate very, very clearly, unmistakably, and most importantly, in the language of music, just like in every walk of life, less is more. So you use less to communicate more. And that's how a musician matures. When you start making music, I don't know how many of you have learned music in your life, but when you start, as a child or, as a youngster, when you start playing a musical instrument, the first thing I want to do is, or at least I was like that, I wanted to show off, really. I can play this, I can play fast, I can play this, so I wanted to really show off that I could do something. And then comes another stage in life when you want to actually not just showcase technique, but communicate to your audience. And then afterwards, after a few more years, you get to a stage where you want to communicate to your audience, but not just any audience, to your specific audience, right? If I'm making bhakti music, maybe I want to communicate to the older generation. If I'm making hip hop and trip hop, maybe I want to communicate to the younger generation. Like that. That's the third stage in musical evolution, or maturity. It's much like driving a car. Where when I learned to drive a car, the first day I was so bothered about synchronizing my legs and my hands. If my legs moved, my hands wouldn't move. My hands moved, my legs wouldn't move. And then after some time, my legs and hand would synchronize, but my legs and left hand would synchronize, but my eyes won't synchronize. You go through this, and then you go to another stage where you want to actually then you can, once I was able to start to drive, then I want to do a 3-point turn. That was my challenge. And then afterwards, I wanted to do reverse parking by the curb. And then I want to go from point A to point B. I went from Chennai to Bangalore. Wow. The reason I'm telling you all this is, only when I was able to drive without thinking, I was able to look around and take in the sights. Music is like that. So you go through all these different parts of your journey, want to showcase this, want to show skills, want to communicate this. Afterwards, you will start to take in the sights, meaning, you will write music for the physiology of the brain. You don't care about whether that person is Indian or American or Japanese or whatever it is. Ma'am, does that give you anything?
Plenty to think of. I have one question.
No, it's very interesting. I just wondered, you were talking about learning the scale first and starting with that, which doesn't really make
Hello, we can't hear you. Yeah,
sense to
we can't hear you.
a
Geeta.
child who doesn't refer to
Yeah.
that, including in teaching, even in teaching subjects.
Right.
I think that is something that's, if you do a boring, repetitive exercise, the child is not going to learn something.
Right.
If you tell them a story and you start with that,
Mhm.
or if you sing them a song, in the case of,
Right.
and then you make them want to learn how to sing it, then it makes more sense, I think. So it's all universal. I mean, in learning as an universal.
Correct. I think if we make the student enjoy the joy of the subject, then the child wants to know. You've made the child inquisitive. I mean, that could be a child or any human being. and then that person will go and get it. They are the miracle. They will find it. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question, layman's
Yes, sir.
question for you. How is it that
Mm-hmm.
music, some kinds of music, uh, make you sad, put you in a state of some kind of, let's say, reflection or reflective, melancholy, or some other mood? How is it that music does this? Uh,
Mm-hmm. So again, I have to go back to my the answer to the previous one. It is all number relationships. See, we experience reality only through numbers. No brain, no experience, right? Consciousness is in the brain. So whether it is touch or taste or smell or sound or sight, we're experiencing all of this. Your brain interprets only as numbers. So when you hear a sad song, that song has relationships, number relationships in them that make you trigger neurons in certain pathways.
okay.
Any doctors here?
Yes.
I wish this could be very, very interesting.
Yes,
Yes,
there
yes,
are
I'm a
doctors.
doctor. I'm a medical doctor.
Okay, fantastic. So the beautiful thing about music is about anything that is qualitative is if we are doing a quantitative study, 2 plus 2 only makes 4. There can be no answer, no other answer. If you do the experiment, I do the experiment, we both have the same answer. Now, I'm going to take a moment to explain why it's not the case with anything that is qualitative. Now, we might both be looking at a car, the same car in a showroom. You might like one that is blue, and I might like one that is gray. Now, what is the explanation for that? We know that the form factor is the same. How do you explain that each one of us like different songs? That's what I'm getting to. So, having established that we experience everything through numbers, the next step I want to kind of take to explain this is the difference between what are the variables. Why do we have different things? Why is it one particular song? You said music communicates in all different types of emotions. Now, I know one of you doctors will be able to explain how we experience emotions physiologically. Now, that is outside the remit of my study. But what I am qualified to talk about is how is it that music communicates differently to different people. So, for example, let's say we listen to a song, you feel that it's a little sad. I might feel that's even more sad. Or I won't even go there. You might like that song, I might not like it as much, or vice versa. Now, the reason this variable comes about is because our brains work in a similar fashion. I mean, the procedure of how it works is the same, but the variables are you might have higher IQ than me. When I say higher IQ, if I take the computer analogy, then you process more information than me in the same time, which means that you can crunch more numbers, which means that what sounds not so pleasing for me will sound more pleasing to you. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So this is what brings about this whole notion of variety in this world. Why different people like different things or different songs.
Okay.
Similarly, when if you ask me about notes and how notes impact emotions. Now, if you say, "Hey, Diwakar, how do I come to your school?" Let's say you send me a WhatsApp text, ask me, "How do I come to your school?" Now, I really don't have an answer for you because I don't know where you are, right? But if you say, "You know what, I'm in Bangalore in this place, or I'm etc. This is my place. So how do I come?" It's easy for me to give you directions, meaning that wherever you are is your departure point. Now, that departure point is what we call as sa, sajamam, do, root, tonic. You can call it whatever it is. Now, from using the sa, you understand all the different notes, different intervals. the res, the different res, the different gas, the different mas, the different pas, and the different das. Sorry, different das and different nis. The sa and the pa are fixed points. Am I saying it simply? Is this okay?
Yeah, I think
Right.
so.
So when I sing sa re ga, okay, that's bold. Sa re ga gives you a sense of melancholy, right? If I go sa re ga ma pa ga ma pa, there are two mas. Their landing points are different. So the kind of relationship each one of these notes have to the root is different. So how we call this, I think to understand how music communicates emotions, theoretically, it's nice to understand the notion of harmony. So harmony means more than one note sounding at the same time. Okay, more than one note sounding at the same time. The sounds are actually having the same frequency, then they are said to be in consonance. If there are two sounds and they sound pleasing together, then that is supposed to be resonant. So they are in resonance. If two sounds make you uncomfortable, if you listen to some of the sounds, they go, it does that. That means it's dissonant. So you're always experiencing music through a multi layers of notes playing with each other, and whether they are at that given moment of time, are they in a state of consonance or resonance or dissonance? Resonance is pleasant to your brain because it's got beautiful number relationships. Dissonance has not so good integer relationships. Consonance has absolutely numbers almost. So that's the way we perceive emotions. Does that answer your questions?
I have a little question.
Yeah.
A fetus keeps hearing the voice of the mother, and it can recognize the mother's voice and sense of emotional feeling when it hears when it's born outside, and it's and it relates. And in a similar manner, like it's the same song being sung by, let us say, Muhammad Rafi and Mukesh. The person who likes this person's voice or that person's voice would always feel the emotion better when it is sung by his favorite.
Oh, now you opened Pandora's box. Yeah, go on.
So it is very connected to emotions of human beings. And that's the main thing about sound as far as I think.
Okay. Is that a question?
No.
Is that a hook statement?
It's just an idea of mine that I just wanted to share with you.
Okay.
So you can expand that.
So imagine this. I'm saying, takadimi, takajono, takadimi, takajono, takadimi, takajono, like a robo. I'm scatting. This is not even music. I'm only doing beatboxing. But on the other hand, instead of saying takadimi, takajono, takadimi, if I go takadimi, takajono, takadimi, takajono, takadimi, takajono. So there's some quiet sounds and louder sounds. So one of the key factors that contribute to what we comprehend as emotional value or qualitative value is dynamics. That is the loud and quiet of a sound. Similarly, the other aspect that contributes to deciphering emotions is the pitch graph, how the pitch graph moves. So there's a dynamic graph to music, there's a pitch graph to music, and there is a tempo or varying tempo to music. All this collectively communicates different emotions. Now, to go back to the reason I said you opened Pandora's box is because you might like Muhammad Rafi or any other favorite singer, but this is an ongoing debate that's been there. It's what goes around comes around. When we are in our most impressionable age, let's say your teens and your 20s, whatever your notions of fashion, style, culture, music, right and wrong, kind of sticks. At least for music, it really sticks, which is why we always hear uh, us listen to ourselves. We always say, in those days, music was great. How many of you like today's music?
Oh, yes, we do.
Who's that? Can I see you? Okay, what was the latest song? Come on, give me a song.
No,
What do you like about
I
it?
don't care for songs, but I like the way the rhythm and the words are always changing according to the person they're addressing or the group they're addressing.
So do you mean to say that earlier on it was not like that? Only
No,
now it is changing based on who you're addressing?
no, it's more international. I like music which is world
No,
music.
that is a different thing. Now that's a different. Now you're talking about sound.
May I know who is on the line? Would you
Usha.
like to come in?
Well, I'm here.
Can I spotlight you?
Oh, I don't know.
Can everyone see you?
I suppose they can.
Who is this? Hello?
That's Usha Venkateshwaran.
Oh, Usha.
Sir.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Just
Yes, ma'am.
one second. I think, Usha, everyone should hear you and see you. I'm trying to spotlight. I can't find spotlight here. Oh, because you switched off your video. Okay, please go ahead.
No worries. I think it's you got a nice point there. We do stay back with our impressions. And all through life, we say, that's great. This is great. I mean, whoever your favorite singer is, whoever your favorite composer or composers are, I mean, no, there is no offense to them. But the thing is, every composer, every singer, every human being is unique. So the more wider your palette is, the more talent you will find, the more music that you can appreciate. புரியாதது பிடிக்காது, as in what you don't understand, you don't like. So when I was a kid, I think from when I was 3.5 or something, they put me in mridangam classes. Okay, so I used to go and learn mridangam. When I was about, maybe my mother tells me between 5 and 10, when I was between 5 and 10 years old, I used to hate Carnatic music because I didn't know what they were saying. They were going, they were doing, I don't know what they're doing. I have no clue. And it's not really, I don't think presentations is the high point of Carnatic music. So, but then later on came another stage in my life when I thought that, all other forms of music are not as competent, as clearly defined, as intricate, as ornate as Carnatic music. Now, much later on in my life, I realized that each music has its own beauty and the challenges lie in different areas. Or did I digress? Ma'am, did I answer your question or did I digress?
I appreciate your answer. Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, we have two questions. Hello. We have two questions which are more or less on the same thing, related. So I think we shall take them up together. Shall I read them out?
Yes, sir, please.
Carnatic music has certain ragas meant to... Hello, please mute yourself. Who is it? Please mute yourself. Carnatic music has certain ragas meant to convey different emotions with variations of the notes. And the other question is, why are we associating ragas with the time of the day or season, even when we are in a closed auditorium?
I believe the first question is actually a statement.
Yeah.
That Carnatic music has certain ragas meant to convey different emotions with variations of notes. Yeah, but that's not just the case with Carnatic music. I think the word raga itself is very special. It's extremely complicated to actually use a definition, and I'm not even qualified to answer that question. The definition of a raga is so intricate. But in other forms of music in different parts of the world, you have what we call as modes. And what these modes are actually scales. Loosely, our music students call them as scales. The scales are actually the murchanas. The murchana of a raga is actually the notes that are present in that raga in its respective ascent and descent pattern. So there are ragas with 7 notes, ragas with 5 notes, pentatonics, ragas with 6 notes, then ragas which have 5 notes on the ascent and 7 notes on the descent, etc., etc. Ragas which have a non-linear ascent and descent. So if you sing Riddhi Gauda, you have to go sa ga ri ga ma. You can't go sa ri ga ma. You can't go. So every time you got to go ga ri ga ma ni sa ni da ma. So you have to, it is non-linear. So there are so many rules to this. But in Western music, you got really simple, straightforward ascent and descent notes. And so do other forms of music like Japanese and, excuse me, Chinese classical music. So whether they are, and all these forms of music do convey different emotions with the variation of notes. One of the things that a composer uses to convey emotion is the note. It is not the one and only. Actually, this statement opens another, I think I should share how does the composer convey music through sound? So what are the tools that he has to convey a set of emotions or a geography or do storytelling through sound? So the only variables that are available are harmonic constructs that I mentioned earlier: consonance, resonance, and dissonance. If I want to make you feel uncomfortable, if I want to communicate something that is thrilling or mystery, if I want to make you feel mysterious, I might use dissonant notes that will make us feel a little uncomfortable. If I want to make you feel very, very pleasant and positive, then I will use a certain other group of notes. Likewise, so on and so forth. So one of the things that a composer uses is harmonic construct, which are consonance, resonance, and dissonance. Then the other thing, temporal constructs like unison and syncopation. Now, unison means you and I play the same note at the same time together. So if I'm going to clap, if both of us are doing that exactly at the same time, even if you're using a stick, then that is, we are both performing in unison. But if I go in between, then I am syncopating with you. Does that make sense? So either two things can play together or they can play in the gaps, right? So temporal constructs that a composer uses are unison and syncopation. And then a composer has sounds and silence. So sounds, for example, let's assume that you're making a very, very angry song. Okay, you're very angry, for whatever reason, and you want to communicate that anger to your audience. Do you really think it'll be good if I use a harp to convey that emotion?
No.
Not really, because the harp is a very soft instrument. It will not communicate that anger. I got to really bang on something, hit something, show that aggression. So I got to use the right sounds to communicate the right emotions. So that's why I said for a composer, sounds are very important. So whatever sounds that you use in your song or your piece of music should go with whatever set of emotions you're trying to communicate to your audience. And finally, silence. Like I said, the things that we don't say matter more, if not the same, as what we say. So that is the power of silence. So every composer is very calculative about how much sound he makes and where he has silences in his track. So just to summarize, there is consonance, resonance, dissonance, unison, syncopation, sounds, and silence. For every human being who's ever lived, every composer who's ever lived, who's living, and who will ever live, they still have only these 7 aspects or tools to communicate emotions, communicate anything through the language of music.
Thank you. There are a number of questions in the chat box. Would you like to select them or?
No, I'll try and address.
Yeah.
So why older generation is resistant to accepting modern music? Okay, this is a can of worms, but I will very shortly address this. In Tamil, we have a saying that says matram, tadumatram. So matram is change. Tadumatram we resist change. We always the system always resists change. So anything that changes, we're always resisting. And like I said, what we listen to in very impressionable ages stays with us. And that is paramount to notions of right and wrong and greatness for everything. However, I should encourage all of you to rethink this and listen to music, even the present generation music, with an open mind. What is it that these guys are trying to say? Why are they hitting those drums so hard? Why is that vocals not heard as much as before? Ask yourself these questions, and I am sure you'll find the right answers. And the reason I'm not answering that is I think you should find your own answers. And it's okay, those answers will differ from one person to another. Now, even today, everybody's working hard. They're still trying to put out the best music that they can. But it's just different. It will come. The same kind of music that we heard in the 60s and 70s or 50s and 80s will still come around. What goes around always comes around. But it's just that we are at a time when music is more eclectic. It's very inclusive. We draw from anywhere. Imagine this. If you take an Algerian pop song and you just take off the singing portion and make one Hindi guy sing over it, it'll be a Hindi song because we are using the same kind of sounds, correct? Whatever the underlying music and everything, we're all using the same kind of sounds. So there is a certain homogenization. I mean, this is thanks to technological globalization. So thank you, digital music technologies. Right? This is what's happening. So I think we should give the youngsters a chance, try to understand what it is they're saying. They're working in very different times. They have different processes. So their mindset itself is different. So they are doing what we call as sonic art. So they're trying to do art with sound. They are not making this great, beautiful raga-based compositions that we used to have. It doesn't mean that we can't have raga-based or we don't have raga-based compositions today. They are few and far in between. Okay, and I'm going to move to the next. Why are we associating ragas with the time of the day or season, even when we are in a closed? Come on. Okay, so when you read a storybook, okay, I'm sure many of you read. When you read a storybook, fiction, do you have the visuals running in your head? Do you imagine the story as I do. I'm still like a kid when the same thing happens with music. So when you listen to music, subconsciously, all these these emotions are playing. And that is just very similar to how when you read a book, you have these visuals running in your head. When I was a kid, I used to do some exercise to develop what's called selective hearing. What I used to do is I had this little Casio stereo box, and I used to lie down on the floor next to it, the speakers right here, and listen to the same song 100 times. The whole day, I will be listening to the same song. And my objective was very simple. I wanted to choose what I wanted to listen to in that song. I could just hear one instrument, or just the voice, or just the bass, just that one sound. And I had to do that to develop selective hearing. I did that because in colleges, when I was in college, we used to play, all covers, other popular composers. So I had to listen to what they're playing and then replicate that. So I used to do that. And this is very, very similar to that. When you listen to a raga, you have we are also technology. I think we have to redefine we have to expand the meaning for the word technology. We are also a piece of technology. And the most profound musical instrument after which all other musical instruments are modeled is actually the human voice. It's very sophisticated. And so the reason I'm saying that is when we listen to, whether you listen to raga in open space or in a closed space, in the morning or the evening or the night, that raga is communicating, that set of numbers is communicating something to your brain. And no matter what, you will only comprehend that emotion. You will associate it with that. Next one, our parents condition our mind by saying, don't listen to dabba music. Does it change my perspective of music? Now, I don't understand what is dabba music, but I think it's something to do with some kind of mixes of folk music that we have in films today. Am I right, Mr. Chandran?
Yes, it is the kind of film music which we have where there is more sound and less music. No, more sound. Well,
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, what is sound? Which part? So all the loud beats and everything that sounds harsh is sound, and the nice PB Srinivas singing this beautiful melody is music. Correct?
right.
Right. I understand what you're saying. That question stems from okay, you're going to kill me for this, from generation gap. தமிழா நீங்க? மாற்றம் தடுமாற்றம் சொல்லிட்டேனே. Okay, that is just generation gap. But actually, try and look at it like this. Why are they making music like that? What is that? Why is it all the intricate, ornate musical passages have disappeared? And you have very simple, easily comprehensible beats. Now, this takes me to how cinema itself came about. Now, cinema is technologically mediated. Without technology, there's no cinema, right? Without the movie camera, there could be no cinema, correct? I think something late 800s, we had the camera, and we made the first movie, I think around the 1910s, between 1910 and 1920. Harichandra, I believe, was the first movie. So the reason I'm saying this story is the first people to make movies, the first stories that we had no movie story. We had, as Indians, we never made movies before. So the only common man's entertainment that we used to have is what we call as the dance dramas, Natya Nadagams and Tirukuthu, street plays. So street plays and dance dramas, that was common man's entertainment. So the very business savvy people went and approached these guys, the guys who directed the dance dramas and the street plays, and those were the ones who became the first. Harichandra is nothing but a dance drama, right? I think it had something like 113 songs or something like that, 108 songs or like that. That is ridiculous today. So, but that was a form of storytelling over which we had expertise. So that's what we did when we started out. Right? So here's a bit of
Should we switch
for the
off
day. It's one camera. Sorry. Can I proceed?
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Hello? Recorded
Yeah.
all the sound. Everything was done there. It's not like today when you can go and overlay the track in the studio. Who could sing, could be actors. Now this is also sing and make us listen to it. Anyways, so that was the scene. So behind the camera used to sit the orchestra. Music and the dude sings. Okay, so there was this guy who was showing a set of musicians, And that person came to be called as the music director. That is why even today, there is no other part of the world they have a music director. It's only in India we call them music conductors. We don't call them music orchestrators, music arrangers. We don't call them anything. We call them music director because that came from the thing is, then afterwards we had the double tape technology wherein you could record video. That is changed. Now, anybody who looks good could act. They didn't have to be singers too. I mean, this is fantastic, right? So what happened, music singers didn't want to sing for cinema because they had to then act. So now they could actually it was recorded. Now, this is why these singers were called playback singers. And that's why we still call them playback singers. I thought that might be amusing for some of you. Sorry, I did digress. Okay, so why do Korean and Chinese music sound like dissonance to our ears? Geeta Mani ma'am, I beg to disagree. I don't think it sounds like dissonance. I think it's just different kind of music. So because I don't have that perspective. If it does sound dissonant to your ears, it again goes back to okay, I'm going to get killed to the generation gap. Sorry. And then what does the word Carnatic refer to? Do ragas really have the power to bring rains or light lamps? Wow. Usha ma'am. Okay, that's a fantastic question. The answer is quite profound and deep. You know, just like we have all these gods, you know, you say Shiva is the god of destruction, Brahma is the god of creation, you know, and all these gods performed miracles. We hear all this. And this is very codified way of telling us how to live our life. I don't think we should take it directly. Now, whether or not Hamsa Dhwani can bring rain, I don't know. But what it can do is it can bring rain inside you. Does that make sense? It does pour inside your head when you listen to good Hamsa Dhwani. So I think we can't take everything that our forefathers or our previous generations have handed out to us. Everything in our country, in India's culture, has been symbolized and codified. And we have to see and take what is relevant to our times. And we have to reflect on it and comprehend it in your own way. So the direct answer to your question is, will Hamsa Dhwani do ragas have the power to bring rains or light lamps? Yes, of course they do. But light lamps and rain inside your mind. Not necessarily physically. If you ever have seen Hamsa Dhwani have rain, it's a coincidence. If you ever listen to Bilahari in the morning, you didn't get food, that's a coincidence. Or you didn't want to eat. Okay. Heavy metal is more dissonance than resonance. Okay, that's I value that opinion. Definitely, I respect that. Is there any other questions that you have?
Can I just come in?
Yes, ma'am.
Going back to your beginning lessons in Carnatic music, I'm just sharing something that I heard recently. Bombay Jayashree had said that she does not, she's not of the school that children should be sat down and taught Sarli Varise and Janta Varise and all at the beginning.
Okay.
She says we have to start them with little songs which make meaning to them. And then that is the way you introduce music into their system, and then bring them to the grammar of the whole genre. I think after, I mean, taking what you said about your own experiences, maybe that's what was lacking. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this awareness is just kind of coming in. I mean, we're all saying the same thing in different ways. You know, it's it's pretty much the same thing I also said a little earlier, that, you know, how can you sit them, and I didn't even go up to Sarali Varsa. I said even Sapasa. How can you just learn the alphabets without knowing how to talk? Right? If the child knows how to say hello, and then if you say, if the child knows to say apple, and then you show an A and say this is the first alphabet of apple, then the child makes a connection. But without any words or sentences, if we just go ABC, that is just sign language for the child. That's just shapes. So I think a lot. I think this is the truth. I mean, I'm glad that somebody else has said it, and I'm sure there are a lot of musicians around the world who are saying this. We really are at a time where we should relook at how we look at music. I mean, take Carnatic music, for example. I've been asking this question all my life. Can somebody explain to me what is the role of the violin in Carnatic music? What is it doing there? Why do I feel that somebody's chasing me all the way? Why should I be chased? So we got some really, really very, very honest questions, but the honest truth always hurts. And we, even though the answers to those questions, sometimes we don't come out with those answers because we'll be singled out, outlawed, blah, 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 whatever it is. But there are, let me say one thing, 1 minute, ma'am, I'll just say this. We are making music in India, whether it's Carnatic music or whether it's film music. We make music like how we drive on our roads. Yaar settalum na munnadi ponum.
Correct.
Okay, I don't care about anybody, but I need to push forward. We still don't. I've read in history books that, that we were once such a fantastic culture, but I don't think this is our finest hour. Right? So you look at the music, somebody asked me, why is this so loud? Why is heavy metal so loud? Why is all this all that is loud? Everything is loud because we think loud means powerful. Right? You listen to all these Tamil, Telugu, all these movies. If that hero opens out and hits 50 people, I will hit 100 people. Right? That is our outlook. The only way I can show my might is I want to hit, not make a difference in anybody's life. Right? I want to show power, and that too, not even indirect, very direct and obvious. So the day we stop making music or review art in this very, 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 very diegetic and most obvious manner, I think we will evolve as a better community. And I think we should have music education right from when the child is born. If not that, at least from kindergarten, we should have. Well, we don't have. We don't even, only CBSE's. I was so surprised. We work with a university in Andhra Pradesh, and I was so surprised that CBSE has a subject, several subjects for year 11. Can you believe it? Year 11, they have Carnatic music theory, Carnatic music percussion, music technology, but no school chooses to teach that. This is amazing. Why? What kind of community? I think we are fantastic when it comes to how we can take double standards towards arts, and we don't realize. I read this. Sorry, ma'am. I'll just pass over in just a minute. When the 9/11 happened, in September 9/11, I read in a academic journal article that there was a school. Sorry, there was a school in New York, and after 9/11, after several months, they had a graduation ceremony. So the dean of that school, he was a pianist. So this guy, in his graduation speech, says the following: why should we all learn music? Why is it music even, part of our life? And he explains, every day in the morning when I get up, I play the piano for about 4 hours before I, do anything else and go to college to teach. Every day. This is my routine. So the day 9/11 happened, the next day morning, he gets up and he looks through his window. He says, from my window, I can see those shambles. I used to see 2 towers there. Today, it's not there. I was so devastated that I have no energy. I started thinking, why am I even playing piano? Where is humanity? How bad is this? Somebody can actually kill so many people. So I didn't play the piano that day. That was the one day in my life after I learned to play piano. I didn't practice, I didn't play. But that evening, the first social gathering that happened for the victims of 9/11, the first human gesture or first human reaction to what happened was a group of about 15 people gathering at the 9/11 site and singing for them. I think this story has several layers to it. As humans, it is the best way we can show empathy. We can show compassion. We can show how we can coexist. We can symbolically use harmony. We can have a vocal choir and we communicate that we are here together. We are all different, but we can be together. I think there is so much there. So I think music we should, my school's fundamental premise here is that higher education in India should recognize popular music as a legit field of study. Why is it that why did I have to go to Cardiff to learn how to make popular music? Why couldn't I study in Madras University or Mumbai University? So that is my premise. However, this extends even beyond. We should, if we teach our children music, some form of music, whether it's singing or any of our instruments, I think we will have a better people tomorrow. Mrs. Natarajan, sorry, I had interrupted you. Please go on.
No, not interrupt. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just going back to your violin question, why do we have to have the violin in the Carnatic music concerts? Well, we have the in the North Indian music, we have the sarangi playing, and I think it's just an interlude for the singer to catch his or her breath and then get back into it's a kind of an interval which even in the movies they give you an interval of 15 minutes between two sections of the movie.
Okay.
So the violin gives them that breather, and so that they catch it. Otherwise, singing for those 2 hours or 3 hours non-stop is not humanly possible. Maybe.
Fantastic point.
I have something else to say.
Yes, ma'am.
It's also, that's what gives you the break in the routine, and that's music. I mean, like you're listening to a voice, and here's an instrument that sort of complements the voice. So it enhances the voice.
Does it?
Just like your percussion enhances it.
Sure.
Maintains the beat.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I understand Mrs. Natarajan's point that it gives relief to the singer, so they have a breather. Fair play. But that will only hold good if these violinists stop playing when they are singing, right? And it's fine for the violin to play when they are singing. The only problem is they are not playing in unison with them. They are chasing them several, a second or two behind. So it's like, somebody in some of the houses, non-singers, when they hear a song, they'll sing along, but they're not singing with it. They're singing slightly behind it. That's what happens in every Carnatic concert. So strictly, if you look at it as music arrangement and composition, it's a big question mark. It kind of intrudes with, okay, I'm going to play you a song now. Can I play a song?
Yeah. I'm just wanted to tell you that since we have
Yes,
VG
ma'am.
music, we have VG music in movies.
Yeah.
We can't do without it. If you have to have a fight, it has to be you know.
Okay.
Or the violins playing at the back. If you're kind of speaking, can I marry you, or may I marry you, or will you marry me? It's just creating the atmosphere.
Yeah, but now your comparison is now not the same. Now you're talking dialogue to music. Now I'm saying music to music.
Music, please.
So can we go ahead with the first question?
Yeah,
the question that you were answering? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah. You said you wanted to
Yeah,
play
I just
something.
wanted to play you a small song that I did. I got bored, and last lockdown we did something. I'll play you a short 2 minutes. Do I have 2 minutes, or am I behind?
Please. Yes. Please go ahead.
Okay, so this is delivered the Carnatic style. This is the Tirupavai. So we used to Tirupavai is a collection of hymns by Andal. I'm going to just play it. It's one of those Tirupavais. And in this Tirupavai, there is voice, there is ganjira, there is saxophone, and there's a bass guitar. And there is a Swiss hung drum. Swiss hung drum is like a bell. Okay. So I'm going to play that, and then we'll come back to it. I hope I'm not taking too much of your time. 1 second. Please tell me if you can hear it, though. It's loading. Can you hear this?
Louder, please. Louder, please.
You can hear it? Yeah, sure. Can you hear it now?
No.
No.
You can't hear it.
No.
You can't hear it. Okay, 1 second. I'll make that possible. It's a ULA Audio Master UOL. 1 second. I'll have it on my computer. Okay, now you should be able to hear. No, you can't hear this.
No, we can't.
We heard a little just now.
So let's see.
No.
Okay, nobody's able to hear. 1 second.
It's
Sorry, I'm
very,
going to try.
very, very soft. So, you have to strain to hear some voice.
Okay. I'll 1 second. So I'm going to go to my sespref and ta-da. And B. Okay, now. Okay.
Sorry.
So I'll do one thing. I'll just send you the link. Okay. So let me not waste time on that. I'll send you the link for all of you to hear. What I'm trying to say is that is an example of I didn't want to do where I thought Carnatic music could be better, rather than just chasing and playing everything that the singer sings all the time. Either they play perfectly. If two people are singing, let's say Ranjani and Gayatri are singing, now they are trained, they work really hard to sing the same Sangati the same way together in time. So it sounds beautiful. Now, similarly, I am saying that if a violinist is accompanying the vocalist, it'll be really beautiful if the violinist plays exactly what the singer's playing, rather than making his or her own interpretation a couple of seconds after. Now, the violin is great for the alapana. The violin is great for the chittaswarams, the exchange that happens. That is fantastic. But my only problem is when actually the singing happens. Anyway, it's just my opinion. It's not worth anything. Okay. So do you have any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
Well, I think you have. Okay. Any more? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask you how how do the students who learn under you in your institution fare afterwards in life? I mean, do they get to go and compose music for films? What do they do? What is their career prospects?
Okay. So there's this, this is not an organized sector. Okay, I should confide that. You know, the only reason engineering colleges in India don't have audio engineering BE is because you don't have campus interview for that. If you had campus interview for that, every college will have a BE in audio engineering. Okay. So because it's not an organized sector, there is no formal pathway for them, for companies to come here and hire composers or engineers, sound engineers. I mean, in fact, my mother-in-law would never accept that sound engineer is an engineer. anyways, anyways, the thing is, there's one of my students, his name is Vedant Bharadwaj. He's made a name for himself as a composer. He's got an award, blah, blah, blah. There's another guy called Vijay, who's a huge, very, very big sound designer for all the leading Tamil films today. So those those students, a student who really wants to know, will learn anywhere. I believe there are three categories of students. The first category of student wants brand association. So I have been to Harvard, or I've been to Stanford, or I've been to Purdue. The second category of student wants the degree. You know, I have an MSc, I have a PhD, you know, he wants the award. Then there's a third category, poor people like me, we want to know. Now that is the kind of students I'm able to attract because I'm like that. So what I'm trying to say is we've had, my youngest student is 14. My oldest student is 68. And the 68-year-old gentleman lives in Hyderabad. Last year, he completed the program. Until before the pandemic, he used to travel here every Tuesday. So every Tuesday, he's on a flight to Chennai. He stays Tuesday and Wednesday and flies back Wednesday night. Today, he makes music for commercials in Hyderabad. So for me, the most difficult thing is to get somebody across this door into this place. Once somebody has stepped into this door, I'm very happy to say that, you know, sooner or later, they have become a student. And not only that, every student, I think I would have had a few hundred students over the last 10 years. And every one of them is into music. My first student, his name is Kishan. And this Kishan was vice president or something, like some really fancy post at Cognizant Technologies. Now, today he's a composer. And I'm very proud to say his lifestyle hasn't changed. So, padikra kodanda padikkum. Yeah. The thing is, we none of the schools here place emphasis on music business. We place a lot of emphasis on music business. You know, it's nice to sing in the bathroom or, you know, play a free concert. But when you want to get somebody to pay a dime, then quality begins to matter. So our simple yardstick for quality is my student's lowest threshold should be much above his client's highest threshold. That's all. Then he can't go wrong. So this is for me, this is a business of passion. It's not, I'm not a businessman by any stretch. My wife will laugh, but we like to do things. I mean, that's what musicians are, or I mean, if I can use that word, we like to make a difference in somebody's life and not just take fees.
That's great.
Which is why the school is still boutique. When at any given point of time, there's not more than 30 students. And to these 30 students, I know them one-to-one. We take classes one-to-one. I'm not a very good teacher. I kill them. I'm sorry, I didn't know I forgot that you're recording this, but you know, we're very strict when it comes to working. And I've never had a problem because students come here wanting to know. So it's for somebody who wants to know, it's never a problem to be pushed, to push the boundaries. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Diwakar. For an hour and
Thank you.
20 minutes, you've been answering our questions. And apart from answering our questions, you have raised some fundamental questions which we had not thought of and which you have answered so beautifully for us. In fact, if anyone wants to have further discussion about this or to go into this in greater depth, I think all we have to do is to play this recording again, which probably we will do, and we will have a discussion amongst ourselves. And I was just wondering, if we had not these questions at all, what you would have, in fact, talked about today.
I had actually had lined up something very different. So I
So can we have
always
another
when
session on that?
Yeah,
please.
sure.
Maybe we need. Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, sure, we can. So
Yeah.
I had 3 words for you:
Yes.
sound, semiotics, and symbolism or significance. So I wanted to expand on each of these words. And I had thought of speaking for about 15 minutes on each one of those words. So what is sound, in film music? Because that's what I was going to address. And what are the different kind of sounds you find, and how the orchestra negates with each other to accommodate each other. I mean, those kind of things I want to talk about. Sound, about significance. I wanted to talk about how significant film music is in this country, and how it is just all pervading. You can never escape film music culture in this country, and how the change in the advent of contemporary digital music technologies has actually toppled or changed not just the sound of film songs, but also the people, the mindset of the people who go about making these songs, and the mindset of the people that are actually performing these songs, and the actual making processes themselves, and also the commercial wheel of how this music was being handled. So that's what I want to talk about. And then symbolism, I can never stop. I had a few song examples I wanted to play for you and deconstruct those songs. When we listen to songs, we generally say, I like this music or I don't like this music. But I think if you understand what's in the song, you might slightly change your perspective. So next time you listen to music, stop listening to Muhammad Rafi. Stop listening to Salil Chaudhry. Detach the musician from the music. They are two different things. Ilayaraja is a great composer. I don't like the guy, and it's okay. You know what I'm saying? So it's important for us to have a very objective way of appreciating music. So I wanted to do music appreciation session about what is the relationship between the lyric and the tune, and how the tune actually symbolizes. Why is the cloud, the sky above in a higher pitch, and the bhumi or the ground is in lower pitch? Because the composer is symbolizing dichotomes, extremes, night and day, up and down, good and bad, that kind of thing. So I wanted to go into symbolism to a few sessions, but maybe that's for another day.
Thank you very much.
But this was engaging for me.
Yeah. In fact, we have a body called the Fine Arts Circle amongst ourselves. So I'm going to turn this recording over to them, and maybe as part of it. And one of the objectives of the Fine Arts Circle is to promote film and music appreciation. So, so I was wondering whether we could have it as part of Fine Arts Circle web program of yours.
It's in fact the little write-up that I sent Rama ma'am is what we give for music appreciation. So we do music appreciation for corporates, music appreciation for schools. So we just don't listen to music and say I like it, I don't like it. Like somebody said, today's music is loud, that is quiet, and this is, maybe if you ask a youngster, he or she will say old music, there are bad recordings, I don't like it, the tunes are old. All these are just new notions. All these viewpoints are valid, but from their own standpoints. But the fact of the matter is, it goes on, and music brings about joy in each and every one of our lives in so many different ways. To me, music has kept me grounded, my head on my shoulders, feet on the ground. And music has taught me to be happy with whatever the universe has bestowed on me, and I'm forever grateful. Music has made me very thankful. I have a lot of gratitude towards life, and just from being able to be in music. I mean, who can dream of a life, get up, go into the studio, and spend your day making music, and somebody pays for it? That's even better. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, we should maybe have another session
Yeah.
if I didn't bore you guys.
Not at all. It is so refreshing. So may I request Geeta to come in and propose a vote of thanks? Geeta, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, yeah, I've just unmuted this. Thank you so much, Diwakar. This was truly, truly enlightening. And you expanded our horizons considerably. And I think the way we look at music and the way we appreciate it, we will think about it a little more now. We understand that there are many, many things to it, not just what you just feel. It's more than that. Anyway, and what came across to me as most valuable was your own devotion to your subject and your love for the whole thing. Your love for, it's not just an academic subject for you. It's something that you truly live and learn all the time about your own topic. And that was really, as older people, I think we all could see that, and we appreciated that very much.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you so much. And I hope to see you soon and address us with, and talk about maybe appreciation of music or something the next time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
I play with a little, thank you, ma'am. I play with a little band called the Tuning Folks, FOLK.
Okay.
And we have the singer who sings in about 26 languages.
Wow.
So we perform songs in different languages, folk songs from India. Different songs. Maybe Rama ma'am was talking to me about a possible music concert. Maybe that could be something that's very light, and it's not heavy, and it'll just liven your spirits. If I all think about how I can shape technology to make sure that we have a good experience. I'll think about that. If you would like that, maybe we can do that sometime.
Sure.
Right.
Of course, we would like that.
Of course, we'd like that very much. Yeah.
I've already told you, Diwakar, that one talk and then one music, and maybe ongoing also.
Anytime, ma'am.
Anytime. Whenever you say, that date will be fixed for you.
We are not
ma'am.
going to,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
we are not going to let go of you easily.
Okay, sure, ma'am. If I have said anything that has upset anybody, or
Not at all. Not at all. No.
Not at all. Not
I mean,
not at all.
Very much.
all
We'll
this
take
is still
it as a dose of heavy.
okay.
We'll take it as a dose of heavy metal.
Thank you so much, and I'm blown by how inquisitive questions that I had. How beautiful. So I'm going to stop with this. I do talk a lot, but I'm going to stop with this. When I used to teach for about 6 years in the UK, and whenever we had community outreach programs, the university used to do, it was University of Glamorgan. We used to do community outreach programs. So we used to go around schools in the neighborhood, and we used to give them music lessons. So I was the colored guy, I was the exotic guy. So I was always picked to go and speak to the students, teach them some music. So one of those sessions, I went there and I was talking about Sarigama Padanisa to a group of I think 7 or 8-year-olds, and I was telling them, just like how you have do re mi, we have Sariga, etc., etc. And there was this one girl child which walked up to me. I think she must be only 7 or 8 years old. And she asked me, Dave, does it go up? I said, yeah, of course it goes up. Sa, pa, sa. And then she asked me, does it go down? I said, yeah, of course it goes down. Sa, pa, sa. And then she asked me, does it go sideways? Now, I thought that question was very profound. And the reason I wanted to sign off with this is because it'll be great This is thinking outside the box for all of us who are in the box. Only a child can ask such a question, because when we learn a lot of things, we take a lot of things for granted. We never ask the teacher, why Saremi? Why not we call it Lalilu? Why such very, very fundamental questions. I think when we look at life in general, not just music, this kind of very, 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 very pragmatic and rational approach, I think will get us off a lot of stress that we otherwise put ourselves into, especially music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you
namaste,
very much,
thank you,
Aziz.
thank you.
Namaste.
Ma'am, thank you so much. Mr. Raja, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very
Diwakar, that
much.
was lovely.
Thank you.
Really, we didn't know the time passing, and I'm sure every one of them will be voicing it.
Thank you.
As I will send you the feedback, and we'll send you the recording also.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's right.
Thank you,
Thank you
Diwakar.
so much.
And say hi to the boys
you.
from me, the young men.
Will
from
do.
me.
Will
Yes.
do, ma'am. Will do, ma'am. You all have a lovely weekend. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Your talk was music to our ears.
Oh, thank you, sir. Much obliged. Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.